What is going on, everybody? Welcome here to the CB1 show. I'm Braden, this is Chris, and today we are going to be doing our predictions for the NFC division champions in all four of the divisions. So let's get this kicked off here with the NFC North. If you couldn't tell from my background and what I'm wearing, I'm a Vikings fan. Despite that, I'm going to set my bias aside, and I don't think that the Vikings are going to win this division, shockingly. I think the Detroit Lions are going to take it again. And I know that there are a lot of people who are like, the Lions, they lost their two coordinators. And look, I'm not going to brush that aside. That is very important. We saw a team in the Eagles just a couple years ago lose their coordinators in Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon and just completely malfunction by the time the end of the season rolled around. So I'm not going to not acknowledge the fact that that happened this offseason. But I think that this team is by far the most talented team. As talented as the Vikings are, I think that Detroit, you have the more experienced quarterback. I think you have the better running back group. You have the better offensive line. And you could argue, too, like that secondary is probably one of the best in the league. That duel with Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, it's hard to compete. And I think when you get Aiden Hutchinson back, which I know people have question marks about him, I think he's going to come back just as good, if not better. I mean, we're talking about a guy who could have won Defensive Player of the Year had he not gotten hurt last year. So it's tough for me to say this because I don't want to admit it, but I think that Detroit is going to repeat and win the NFC North again.
It's hard to see holes in this team.
Mm-hmm.
They're such a good team, and they've shown that they could execute with this good roster. I agree that they're probably on paper the best team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little shaky about their coordinator situation, and I can totally see them coming back doing the exact same the same thing they did last year because they have all of the talent on paper. But I think there's going to be enough of a feel out period with the players learning everything else that maybe they won't capitalize on some games. I still think they're going to be in the double digits for wins, but I actually have the Packers winning this division.
Okay.
I really liked what their defense did last year. Obviously, I know that they lost Jair Alexander, but they got Bo Melton. They got Bo Melton in the secondary. Seahawks legend Bo Melton, who I don't think is going to be.
No.
I don't think he's going to be that good anyway. But
oh no,
I do think that they had a lot of good things on the defensive side of the ball. And then you bring in a guy like Golden to really help Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Jordan Love.
Yep. That's the quarterback.
Yeah, I was thinking Julian Love. I was like, no, that's the wrong guy. But I think he can help him really show what he can do. He did have a down year-ish last year statistically, and the Packers still had a pretty decent year. I really think that this will help just elevate the Packers to become what they truly should be able to do right now.
Okay. Again, like you said, talented roster, but they got to just put it all together. We got to see.
They do have to put it together, and it's a big thing in football to see a running back wall when they hit a certain age. And I'm not saying that Josh Jacobs is old, but he's not young. Like, he's in his prime.
Yeah.
He's probably in the tail end of his statistical prime. He had such a great year last year, and he even had a really good year before with the Raiders. It's really hard to have the longevity like someone like Derrick Henry.
That's true.
And you just don't know if he's going to be able to do that again.
Yeah.
Because he really helped out the Packers last year.
Now let's talk about the two teams that we haven't touched upon yet. I guess I'll start off here with the Vikings. I mean, I'm going to know the Vikings better than most other people. This team has everything that you need to be a championship contender. And I know that's crazy to say because the Vikings historically are a terrible team in the postseason and they don't have a Super Bowl. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at this roster on paper, it's hard to find holes on this team. Now, of course, you can point towards that safety position now that Cam Bynum's gone. How is Theo Jackson going to step up? Is Isaiah Rodgers going to be good after just being a role player in Philadelphia? But aside from that, I mean, you bolster up the interior of the offensive line, right? You bolster up the interior of that defensive line, which was a huge weakness for the Vikings. The big question mark is J.J. McCarthy now. He is the sole reason why this team does or doesn't make the playoffs and does and doesn't win a Super Bowl in the near future. Like, this team is set up. And I think, if you're a believer in J.J. McCarthy, you have this team potentially winning the division, making the playoffs. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I understand that J.J. McCarthy, in my opinion at least, is a project quarterback. So I'm tempering my expectations because I do see what JJ McCarthy can become in this offense, but what he is right now, I think, is still miles away from that final product. So right now, I just don't have the Vikings winning the division, but I think this could be a team that is competing in the playoffs this year. And for the Bears, I think similar to how we were talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, we believe it when, we see it, someone dethroning them.
You see it when you believe it.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We believe it when we see it. Wait.
No, the Patrick Mahomes. We'll see it when we believe it.
Yeah, okay. I was like, so confused.
No, you got it right.
But it's the same thing for the Bears. Like, I'm not going to believe it until I see they have a 4,000-yard passer. I'm not going to believe it until I see them make the playoffs again, which they haven't since, 2019? I mean, come on. COVID-19 happened in between
so good in 2019.
Those two things. Yes. And so, like, the Bears, I think, and similar to how you brought up in the last video with the Raiders, just a lot of new faces, right? A new offense. You're going to add guys like Luther Burden to replace in a Keenan Allen. You have Dennis Allen now coming in as the defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. There's just Colson Loveland who has to get acclimated to the offense. There's just a lot. I could keep naming more additions that they made because I think they had a good offseason once again. But this is a team that I think has such high expectations every year because of what Ryan Poles has done in the offseason. And time and again, they let us down. I think that this could be a team in a year or two that does look good because there's no denying Ben Johnson is an incredible offensive mind. But I think with the style of quarterback that they have and just the lack of continuity because of all of the key additions, like impact players that they brought on this team, it's just going to take a little bit of time for this team to gel, and you just don't have that time to waste in the NFC North.
You can't discredit a good general manager. I mean, he can only do what he can do. Mm-hmm. I think Paul's done an amazing job. Mm-hmm. Just like I think he did an amazing job last year, and I also think he did a great job before. Mm-hmm. But you can only win so much in the offseason.
Yeah.
When it comes time to playing games, then you got to really,
get
it done. And I think that the Bears are very interesting.
They are.
They're a very interesting team. They can really get it done, but I don't know if I buy them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I didn't love what I saw out of Caleb Williams last year. I don't know if he was coached poorly. I know there were a lot of situations.
I think so.
There were situations when it could have been bad, but I also think there were situations when Caleb Williams made wrong decisions.
Absolutely.
And he's a rookie. He was a rookie.
Absolutely.
So there's nothing that I could really say about that. You get more experience going into your second year. It helps. It really does help having that year under your belt. But he's got a great supporting cast.
He does.
And if he doesn't show improvements, you start to get concerned. Mm-hmm. And I think they did have 7 wins last year. If you don't at least hit that 7-win benchmark again, then you're going to start saying stuff like, is he the guy? Which might be too early, but those narratives are going to be out there.
I want to know your thoughts on the Vikings because,
I think they're going to be just fine. I think they had an overinflated year last year.
Yeah.
Nobody expected them to have 14 wins. That was an incredible year. Mm-hmm. I do think Sam Darnold was amazing. Mm-hmm. Way better than he should have been. But maybe that's just how good he was. Mm. I think a lot of people are saying that it was the supporting cast around him. Obviously, having Justin Jefferson around you, it's going to help, obviously. But you still need to be competent enough to throw him the ball.
Exactly.
Like you saw I think CeeDee Lamb is a top 3 receiver. Is that a hot take? I think he's a top 3 receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
And he had a really bad year last year. Mm-hmm. You have to be good enough to throw these guys the ball. Mm-hmm. Maybe Justin Jefferson wasn't getting blinded in the end zone by the sun coming through the roof of the stadium. But still, I think J.J. McCarthy just needs to be half as good as Sam Darnold, be good enough. But just like what you said, I do believe he's a project player. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's a generational talent, but I think he has a lot of time to grow into being a true quarterback. Now, is it kind of concerning that you're going to kind of take these steps back, developing a new quarterback, while you have a Hall of Famer in Justin Jefferson in his prime? I think it might be a little bit concerning, but he'll definitely help him out as the year goes on.
I agree.
Unless he hates him so much that Justin Jefferson demands a trade and leaves because he's unhappy and he's not getting the ball. That's probably worst case scenario for the Vikings this year.
Don't put those thoughts into my head. Let's transition now to the NFC South. I think this is a really intriguing division just because there's a lot of the ceiling for these teams, they're pretty high, I mean, if everything goes right. For me, and this was a close one, and I changed it just before we made this video, I have the Falcons winning. I think the Falcons are going to be so much better with Michael Penix. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Vikings fan and I don't like Kirk Cousins. That's not true. I just think what we saw from Michael Penix at the end of last year made me believe in this team again. And I do think that this is an extremely talented skill group on the offensive side. From Drake London to Darnell Mooney to Bijan Robinson. I'm not gonna name a tight end. But it's a good team. And I think, the biggest need, and we've been calling for this as NFL fans, not just Falcons fans, as NFL fans, that they needed to get in pass rush. James Pierce, I think, is the ultimate pass rusher. And I think Jalen Williams, I think he's an efficient run stopper. I think he can be a good pass rusher. But he's more of just like your sturdy, more built guy on the other side who is going to stop the run. Just be so versatile, even as an inside linebacker. And that's what this team was missing. I think this defense was good last year with all the pieces that they had. Jesse Bates, one of the best safeties in the league. Like, this team has got it. And I think adding a guy like Jalen Walker and James Pierce is almost the missing piece that the Buccaneers don't have. When you look at the Buccaneers, I mean, this is a well-rounded team as well. They're loaded at the skill positions as well. But when I look at their defense, their secondary was shaky last year. And who's rushing the passer now?
Yaya
Diaby.
All-time,
I'm not buying it.
buying
it. And also keep in mind, the Falcons looked good against the Buccaneers on 2 occasions last season as well. So we'll leave it at that. I have the Falcons winning. Not by a ton, by just a game. But they're going to win the division in the NFC South.
I have the Falcons winning as well, and it's kind of a big projection to say so because Michael Penix, unproven. Obviously,
he's still unproven, yes. Small sample size.
Extremely unproven, but I think they were the winners of the draft last year. As an unbiased Seahawks fan, I do think the Falcons were the winners of the draft. We will just have to see how things pan out for them. I think Kyle Pitts is going to have a good year. I think he's going to have a better year. Okay. And I'm a huge Baker Mayfield fan as well. I think that he was good enough to be in the MVP conversation last year. With that being said, it's really hard to repeat a career year that good. I think the Buccaneers, they improved on their wide receiver core. Amika, I think he's going to be...
Oh, yeah.
Because he's not stepping in. He's not expected to be a one.
No, now they have 4 legit wide receivers.
That is amazing.
That's
for
insane.
Baker Mayfield. And, will I be surprised if he does it again? I would be.
Yeah, no Liam Cohen anymore.
But he can do it. It. He's got all of the talent around him to do it. Even Bucky was awesome last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust their defense a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could still be a team that squeaks into the playoffs, but...
Yes, absolutely.
There's everything to be excited about with the Falcons this year.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say that, I flash back 2 years when I said I was really excited for Desmond Ridder and the Falcons. But we'll see.
Well, this is a little different. But I think, talking about the Buccaneers, I think this team could win the division too. And again, I have it as a game difference. I have the Falcons winning 12 games. I have Tampa Bay winning 11. And I think the one thing that makes me concerned about it is the point that you brought up. Baker Mayfield's been good, but will he repeat again? Especially because, it was one thing to replace Dave Canales after that first season that Baker had with Tampa Bay. Then they did it again with Liam Cohen. Can they do it for a third time? That's asking a lot. And they've done it twice in the past, but a third time? It just makes me a little nervous. And then transitioning to the Panthers, this is a team that ended off the season really hot. They almost beat the Eagles if Xavier Legette doesn't drop that pass. That's just the margin in the NFL. But I don't think that this team has the talent they need to win a division to compete for a Super Bowl just yet. So I think Falcons here and Buccaneers, right? Buccaneers in the mix, but Falcons is what
for sure. And you know what? You did talk about in the previous episode about surprise teams. Because it's so odd and it's so improbable that you're going to have a repeat of standings like last year.
Oh, yes. And that's the reason why I chose Atlanta for this one.
I think that the Panthers are going to be that this year. Okay. I think they will be taking the next step forward. It's so hard not to cheer for Bryce Young.
Oh, yeah. He's got a likable...
All the odds against him. Everyone is writing him out, especially with that huge trade to pick Bryce Young first overall. It's not the poor guy's fault that happened. It's going to be reflected on him pretty much his whole career, but it's not his fault. So it's really hard not to root for the guy.
Yep.
I don't love the team around him at all.
No.
But clearly they have identified a weakness in their receiving core, and I know that they've tried to address it in the years before as well. It just hasn't worked out. and we'll see how local boy Tetero McMillan does this year. I think they could be an 8-win team.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the Saints. And then we can move on.
Yeah, we can move on.
We can move on.
So, transitioning now to the NFC East, it's the Eagles, man. I mean, I know they lost Kellen Moore, but Vic Fangio, the fact that he went to the Eagles, that was just incredible to me. Like, I don't know why the Dolphins let go of him. I don't know if it was the Dolphins' choice or if it was Fangio's choice, but for him to go to that team, I mean, that was a nightmare for the rest of the NFL. I mean, I saw it coming. I don't know if everyone else did, but he's been such a good coordinator. They still have him there. And to be honest, look, I know we talked about the fallout that Philadelphia had a couple years ago near the end of the season, but this team, like, with the amount of talent they have, I think that they are still the clear-cut team to beat, not just in the NFC East, but in the NFL as an entirety. I mean, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, like, the roster on paper speaks for itself, and I think despite the NFC East not having a repeat champion in, 20 years or so, I think this is where it ends. Like, this team is so talented. It's hard for me to pick anyone else because despite there being so much, positivity coming from the other teams, like the Cowboys, like, you're going to get Dak back, right? Like, that's the biggest thing. For the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, like, this is just the most well-built team. So I don't think there's much more to say than that.
I don't ever pray on teams to get injured, okay? Or anybody to get injured. It's really...
That's crazy.
It transcends sports, you know what I'm
Yes,
saying? You don't want to ever wish or predict that people get hurt. But I think the Eagles were aggressively healthy last year. And that is something that can really help your team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of the curve, that eventually it regresses to a point where you do get hurt.
Yeah.
Teams get hurt.
It's inevitable.
It is very inevitable. And they stayed so healthy last year that it's hard to predict that everybody will be healthy again. And it's, on the other hand, it's hard to predict that the Cowboys will be as hurt as they were last year.
Exactly.
Now, was Dak Prescott bad when he was playing? Yes. He wasn't even good when he was playing. But he's better than all of their other backup options that they aired last year. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Eagles are clear-cut winners.
Okay.
But what about the Commanders?
I mean, the Commanders, I like them. I think they just had an easy schedule last year. And I just think, like, to ask Jaden Daniels to do what he did last year, I mean, it was already a feat as it was. But Terry McLaurin is unhappy. And I know you got Deebo Samuel. But, I mean, I don't believe that. Deebo's a guy, like, you don't want him to get hurt. But history has shown that he will get hurt this season. And defensively, they didn't add any talent. Like, I don't see anybody along the defensive line that's like, hey, let's watch out for this guy. No, you can leave all those guys on an island. And I don't think they're going to win their matchups. Like, just, it's a team game at the end of the day. And I think the scheme can only take a team so far if the talent's not there. That's what I worry about with them. Because Jaden Daniels is the real deal. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the league if we're just basing it off of performance from last season. But again, like, it takes a team to win. And I think the Eagles are a great example of that, and they're in the same division as the Commanders, unfortunately for them. But, okay, transitioning to our final division here in the NFC West.
Wait a second. What about the Giants?
So, for the NFC West, I have the Los Angeles Rams winning this division. And the more I consume NFL media, I'm starting to realize that this might not be as unpopular as an opinion as it was when I made my record predictions just a month or two ago. This team, I think, is the most well-coached team. They have the most talented coaching staff in this division, is what I was saying. I think Shanahan and Saleh, I think they put up, good competition, but one has a ring, the other group doesn't. What? Did I say something?
No.
And I just think that this team, like, you add a Devontae Adams, my God, this team's going to be really damn good. And I think, let's not forget this too. This team was close to beating Philadelphia in the snow last season in that divisional round game. Like, this team has a Super Bowl championship ceiling to their name. And I think defensively, I mean, it was reiterated time and time and again. It's a young unit. It's a young unit. there's not a lot of known names, but boy, do they work well together. And I think guys, like a Braden Fisk. Right?
I was just going to say that.
And Jared Verse, that was the name that both came up before the Defensive Rookie of the Year. But, like Jared Verse, Byron Young, Kobe Turner. Like, this front seven's legit. And I think, oh my God, Chris Shula, I believe, is the defensive coordinator. Like, he doesn't get enough credit for what he's done with this unit with so many unproven players. But I believe in this front office staff to replenish the talent, which is what they did over the course of this offseason. And I'm never going to question Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford ever again, because they proved me wrong that one year, and they've proven time and time and again that their window is always going to be open. And when you bring in a guy like Davante Adams, that's the move that brings this team over the top. So it's the Rams for me winning the NFC West.
It's scary to think about.
Oh, yeah.
I thought going into last year, I looked at their defense, and I was like, man, this defense kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And I probably couldn't name, right now, an outside cornerback on the team. Maybe it's because I haven't looked at rosters in a little while, but they made it work.
Yeah.
They really made it work. And I think Jared Verse probably had an underwhelming season in terms of winners of Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But he was a rookie.
Yeah.
And you could see flashes of him just dominating out there, and he's going to get better. And I think all of these other names that you mentioned as well might not have the name value that other teams have, but they were fighting out. There were dogs out there last year. I hated watching the Seahawks against the Rams because they were so good.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks already couldn't run the ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Rams just clogged everything up. I do have the Rams winning the division. I hate seeing Davante Adams in the NFC West. I don't know if I like the colors on him, but he still got it. He's still good.
And
people forget that.
Yeah. And I mean, you're a Seahawks fan. There's obvious reason to be scared. As a Vikings fan, I'm terrified because they beat us twice last year. I mean, the Vikings had 4 losses last year. 2 of them to Detroit, 2 of them to LA. And that LA team only got better. So we're going to wrap this thing up because we're nearing the end. I will give an honorable mention before we close out to the Niners. I think acquiring Robert Saleh again is huge for this defense. I think they really needed that. They're having issues at wide receiver, but again, that coaching staff is one of the best in the league. So I do think that they're in that bubble to compete again. But
just real quickly also, I disagree with everything that you just said besides Robert Saleh. I do think he's a great coordinator to bring him in.
Yeah.
They lost so many names on that team.
I agree.
So many names.
I agree.
And now they're actually paying Brock Purdy. When you start paying a quarterback, that's when your team usually falls apart. Especially because they were paying so much money to other people, which is what you're supposed to do with a young quarterback. I don't think the 49ers are going to be good. Okay. I don't like Kyler Murray. I don't think the Cardinals are going to be good.
Okay.
And I think that everybody's writing off the Seahawks right now just because
including myself.
Just because of the turmoil. I don't know if people buy Sam Darnold. I think their defense is incredible right now.
It is.
It's unproven, and with a coach like Mike McDonald, they could really make a splash. I don't know if they can win the division. I could see them sneaking into a wild card position, though.
Okay. There's a lot to be excited for in this NFC conference. Thank you guys for watching this video. This is our predictions for the NFC division champions. But until then, we will see you guys all next time. Peace.